So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city architecture and sights are to be had from the top of the omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. Ah, a skylight. Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on the omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. Ah, that makes perfect sense. Well, counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind this bench, I never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish. Very well. I see no reason why not. The omnibus is hereby formally accepted into evidence. The omnibus has been entered into the courtroom record. The 8-seater omnibus that was the scene of the scene of the crime. There were passengers both inside the carriage and on the rooftop deck that night. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. And let's continue with the proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel. Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. Yeah, breathe in, Runosuke, breathe in. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Runosuke. Focus. Cross-examination. What the witnesses saw. Let's take a look at the evidence. Oh. Ooh. The lawyer's name is embroidered on the inside here. Look. Kazuma Sogi. This was his band, of course. He had his heart set on this study tour in Great Britain. I'm sure he would have found the truth that he longed for here. But he lost his life before he even had a chance to see the place. I have such a strong sense of his hopes and dreams when I look at this armband, though. These are the scales of justice. They're symbols of the defense, aren't they? Yes, that's right. The scales are a symbol of fairness, to show that all are treated equal in the eyes of the law. And they're a warning to those who enter the courtroom without an impartial mind. But if they're the mark of the defense, it would be more auspicious if they were weighed more heavily on the not guilty side, I think. Very impartial, I'm sure. Name, thrice-fired mason male, age 54, brickmaker. Time and cause of death, 15 February 10 to 11 p.m. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying in an omnibus. Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from trauma. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with our own first day at London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No, by the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Ah, pity. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. And let's check this out. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. Cute. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London's streets from up here. So people sit all the way up here on a bitter winter night with the cold air rushing past them. And they have to pay money to do so. Brr, I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around in the city in the freezing cold as a punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? The scene of a murder. It's horrible. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Oh, the Crystal Tower, it's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. That's blood that's soaked into the seat. The victims, obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, if it was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way to look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? It's quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck. And it doesn't appear to be a handle or catch of any description. So I suppose it can't be opened from the inside the cabin at least. This seat has a handle, it seems. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. I was really hoping we'd notice something out of place here. We can't find anything out of place. Okay, no cutesy thing there. Okay. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
Hold it!
Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh yes, sir, that's right, sir, yes. Ever so cold. It was so freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, though, no. And there were no other passengers when the incident took place? No one alighted, for example? You're quite right, sir. No other passengers like that, none. So nobody fled the scene of the crime, then? I have to say that the boss insists on running. He does every night. The last bus of the day. But I wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, what with being so cold and everything and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spent that much pub on the way home just trying to warm up again.
Hold it!
And you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage. That's right, when you sat up on the roof deck, the window's right there at your feet. There was a lamp on the outside, and I had a pretty good view. The two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. There's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded. How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? McGilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. There's no room for doubt here. I really wish there was. And then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife into his guts. The man accused of killing was sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife into his guts.
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened. Didn't I already testify to that? Or are fair dinkum hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? No, I didn't mean that. This is no good, I've really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if that's... My lord! Jury, I'm afraid, what is the meaning of this? My mind's made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich, never have. They're always up to something or other, and they shouldn't be, every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. Fancy! There's no point in wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. That is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. What is happening here? Let me see. Ah, yes, it seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Now I'm even more worried about it than I was before. Very well, the court acknowledges the changes in the jury's stats. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. This is a nightmare. Tried to scam them, I screamed and I couldn't help it.
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you say, and you were sitting upon the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right. I was up on the roof seat. I remember the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I'd been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then it happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out of his belly. That huge knife. A grim sight indeed. Ah, that didn't help me at all. The jury looks like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before. It appears to have made everyone more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions. Mr. First. Oh, yes, sir? Is this the knife you saw? Oh, good grief, that's it, the very one. Is that? Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. That is a blade of considerable size, Counsel. It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is embezzled prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. Please, no. M. For Magnus, perhaps? Or McGilded, possibly? Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake. But there's M's everywhere! Yes! Like in Mason!
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickman to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. Not conclusively, but certainly compelling, Counsel. The murder weapon has been added into the court record. My lord, forgive the interruption. Juror number 2, go on. Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait, what are you about to do? Dispose of the rubbish. No! I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. I painstakingly typed every word out of today and cross-reference all the facts. As such, I am now in position to draw the only logical conclusion. Am I about to lose the case because of too much questioning? Not again! That's 4 out of 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information just makes the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses knowing that more sparks may well fly. We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back. But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. As soon as I heard the scream stop my bus, and then I saw it too.
Hold it!
What exactly did you see? Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. And by the passenger, obviously you're referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. And the other passenger had the knife in his hand like this. By the other passenger, obviously you are referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded. And he plunged down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. What? How could a driver have seen it? My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5, do I take that you too? As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. I wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind a little longer. Giddy up, Silverblaze, 'tis finish is in sight. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. This is too unkind, sir. Which now means the 5 jurors agreed to condemn the man. Madam Juror number 6? Yes, dear, what can I do for you? You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand. Oh yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know. And pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning? Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around the time of the day, and I sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know. To put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He's always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab anyone, surely. Mother, may we go to McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books? How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of a man is he? Don't ask that question, Yunosuke! The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with very darkest of souls. What? Stones, crows! McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possessions of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak. I've never heard any mention of that before. Your faculties have deserted you, I'm sure, Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of public omnibus service? You're not saying that the victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts. Good gracious! The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owed taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded! I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly, Miss Usato? You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim? Drinking on the job, Van Zykes? Van Zykes? Pray forgive the discourtesy of failing my hollowed chalice in a court of law. Ah, there it is! Lord Van Zykes' hollowed chalice! How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in an unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. Ah, as a judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job. What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You'll find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Oh. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. A marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept it as the new evidence. A catalogue of people who have borrowed money from the defendant at high rate of interest and includes the victim who owed 20 guineas. Ah yes, the 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum, and the accused made quite certain he had an ample recompense. Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused. And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel! Still, maybe it's all for the best. Wait a minute! Let's think about this a little more before... I don't stand for nonsense.